Urban Matters Black Media Group. We're in the building again. Here we go, coming to you on December 16th, 2024. I got my faithful group in the building. We have him at the round table, the professor, and we got D, the engineer. All right, we finna come at y'all real quick again with another episode of Urban Matters Black Media Group. Here we go. Run it. Hey, D, ball. Do you guys be hustling? Are y'all
Every
some
day,
true hustlers?
every
Yes,
day.
sir. Yes, sir.
Huh? We're gonna get ready to crank this thing up here at Urban Matters Black Media Group, where we're gonna discuss some economics today. What will black business and black economics look like in America in 2025? I think the professor got a few solutions for us, and my brother D, he always coming through in the clutch. Let's run it. They got my setup a little janky on the app, but we're gonna still make it do what it do. Hustling. Black Media Group, grassroots be hustling. Hey, I know y'all see the donate on the Megatron. Y'all make sure y'all donate to Urban Matters Black Media Group so that we can get this resource to fund and help Professor and I do some research. We're gonna do some data analytics. See, family, this stuff takes money, man. I know a lot of times y'all think we just got it all figured out and we got all the answers and we got all the resources, but no, this is sustainable solutions over here at Urban Matters Black Media Group, and we're trying to come up with sustainable ways to keep our community empowered, and we're going to empower us through a national plan of Black economics and Black excellence over here at Urban Matters Black Media Group. All right, here we go. All right, fellas, y'all ready to run it? That's one shout out to my boy Rick Ross. That boy, that'll be hustling. Now, that guy right there, he's a perfect example of Black economics and taking that wealth and revolving that wealth back into the community. I really commend that brother right there, man. He doing some big things in his community. He's giving back to his community. Man, I hate when they give me this old janky behind setup, man. Y'all be patient with me. Professor, you wanna chime in first? And I gave you the title today. I'm dragging behind a little bit, fellas, but y'all We're
That's
gonna
no
make it do
problem,
what it
doctor.
do. I'm dragging a little bit today, but I've been up. Y'all know I'm an early bird. I get up with the chickens, man. I'm up 4 p.m. I mean 4 a.m. in the mornings. 4 a.m. Oh, 0400 hours for all my military folks. Yep. Professor, chime in on this. Chime in.
How you doing today, Doctor Juice? Doctor D, Brother D.
I'm great. I'm great.
Fine, man. Been hustling today.
Well, I appreciate you, brother, so much, man. The fact that we're able to sit down at the round table and discuss issues that are pertinent and relevant to the empowerment and the upliftment of our community, man. I tell you, the ancestors are clearly smiling at us in doing so. So I
Yes,
appreciate
sir.
y'all, my brother. I appreciate y'all so much. And repeat that title to me. I thought you had it on your screen. I know that has something to do with AI and technology, but I'll flow wherever you want me to flow as your scholar practitioner.
Absolutely. And that is what will black. Hey, let me put it in the. I'm gonna put it in the chat section so everybody can see it real quick.
Show it for your audience, man. Show it for your audience.
How about
You have
that?
some very impressive numbers. A lot of people are watching you, Dr. Juice.
Yes, sir. That's great. That's great. That's what we want.
I
That's
believe
what
I
we
believe I believe that your platform is water in it's an oasis in a very dry desert in Polk County, bro.
absolutely, man. That's what we
And I'm
trying to
seeing that you have people. We don't know the demographics. I would like to assume that they were black people. Of course, you welcome some of everybody. I know that you're black first, but the fact that you have the numbers that you have when you do your shows means to me that there's obviously some value in what you're presenting to your community, and I want to commend you on that because I don't know of any other institution in Polk County that could command the numbers that you command every time you go live, Dr. Juice.
absolutely, absolutely, man. And that is beautiful. I'm gracious and I'm most humbled and grateful for that I can engage our people to make sure they're getting what they need. So let me see here. Let me
Let me tell you why I appreciate you so much, Dr. Juice. When I look at the news, man, and even here in Atlanta, when I see these issues like cybersecurity, data analytics, economics, they always go to these universities and get these Indian professors, white professors, to get on TV and you know have them give the public their academic scholarly perspective on these issues. And I don't see black people being treated that way in mainstream media. So I'm honored. I'm honored that your organization values my academic background as a professor uh, to be on your platform and speak from an academic perspective the same way mainstream people bring their professors on to speak. And guess what? I can't be mad at them because they're taking care of their own, Dr. Juice. They bring their own people to talk to their own people. So I can't sit here and get mad because ABC, NBC, uh, they don't put black people on, and if they do, it's a different kind of black folks, and it doesn't really speak to the foundational Black America. These black people are bought and paid for. So
yes, sir.
I'm honored that you feel uh, that way about me and my intellectual property. They wanted to share that with your audience because we have our own people as well. And I'm very honored that you would have that consideration of the old professor for all this time, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But our title today, Professor, we want to ask some questions about group economics. And
All
that
right.
is the question today. We're asking everybody. Let me see if I can post it in the chat real quick. Everybody can get the full scope of the question that we're asking. And we're specific about Polk County. We are specific about Polk County. We want to know Polk County.
Polk County.
Because we have been seeing a lot of videos floating around and people have been asking questions. What will black economics and business look like in 2025 for Polk County, Florida, Professor?
And I would be remiss if I didn't bid greetings to my Cross the Highway 3D people. Y'all know how passionate I am about the 3Ds, my community, and I would be remiss if I didn't holler at y'all from Cross the Highway. And if any of my Cross the Highway people come to this show, y'all show up, say something. Don't ghost watch like a lot of people. We know you go ghost watching. We know that you ghost watching, but that's okay. At least you showed up. But I'm hoping that my Cross the Highway people, if y'all out there, bro, holler at the professor, man. Holler at him. Love Cross the Highway. Love the 3Ds. Born and raised, bro.
Yes, sir.
3Ds forever. 3Ds forever. Cross the highway. See, we're a special kind of people across the highway, Dr. Juice.
Yes, sir.
One of the things that my daughter points out that I really didn't think about until my daughter pointed out. And she said, Daddy, she said, everybody in your community when you was growing up, y'all had daddies. We all had daddies.
Yep.
We all had very strong black men in the whole community, bro, when we growing up.
She loved that community. She loved that community and that camaraderie, huh?
She said, Daddy, all y'all had daddies, bro. He said, these dudes today don't have no daddies.
Correct.
So think about it. We were fruit pickers. We had to work. Them men had to work. They had to work. They had to get out that grove. They had to put that yoke sack around their neck and get up and down that ladder, get them oranges. So we come from a very deep sense of work ethics from where we're from. That's when we were colored, Dr. Juice. Black people not colored no more.
Correct.
Right.
Let me play something, Professor. I want to get your intake on something that came across my radar today, and it's a very interesting phenomenon that's going on. And I know you being a big technology guy, you could probably point us in the right direction and give us some answers because it seems as if the authorities that are in control of this or the ones that are responsible for investigating this phenomena, they don't have any answers. So I'm gonna let it play for the family. You can kind of come in and give me a follow-up explanation of what we got going on.
Welcome back, everybody. 20 minutes to the top of the hour in News Nation, digging into the Northeast drone mystery as frustration grows and grows over the lack of answers here. Information remains scarce, even as some officials now say they have seen the drones firsthand. News Nation's Rich McHugh joins us live from New York this morning with more. Rich, you've been talking to a lot of different people, a lot of different sources about these drones. Where have they been seen? What are officials saying this morning? We need the latest.
Good morning, Marky. So this is just such a baffling story. We're a month into this whole intrigue, and the number of these drone sightings is increasing. Military installations are now reporting them. Airports are now reporting them, and so few answers from actual federal officials. Ohio's Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, they closed their airspace due to drones. Stewart Airport in New York shut down their runway for an entire hour due to drone activity. The Department of Defense has confirmed sightings at Picatinny Arsenal and Naval Weapons Stations Earl in New Jersey, but defense officials say they have no intel that indicates these drones are malicious or for a foreign actor. But at the same time, they say they don't know where they're from. Now, I spoke with a sheriff of Ocean County, New Jersey. His team is sending up their drones to investigate. He says he got a call from an officer who called 911 after seeing 50 of them come off the ocean, which ended up getting the Coast Guard involved. Take a look.
50. That was my reaction also. There were 50 that were coming off the ocean.
And this is a sworn officer?
A sworn officer, yes. We contacted state police, we contacted the FBI, we contacted the Coast Guard, at which point the Coast Guard went out with their boat and they reported seeing 13 following their boat. And then the Coast Guard also advised that they went over them about 300 feet and had a wingspan of about 8 feet.
Now, when we were reporting in Red Bank, New Jersey, we received numerous tips, video tips from residents like this who say they kept seeing flying objects like the one you see here, like right overhead Red Bank, New Jersey. We filmed a few miles away, several spots not far from Naval Weapons Station Earl, and we're quite sure we were seeing the same unusual stuff that people had been reporting. Low flying, appear to hover above residential areas. Over the past few days, I've looked at flight radar during those hours in proximity to where we were. It did not show planes overhead. There were planes nearby, miles away, though. I also spoke with multiple drone and aviation experts and asked them to look at our footage in the spirit of transparency. A CEO of a drone company told me he believes they're planes, what we were seeing. But I spoke with an aviation expert, a pilot of 43 years, both military and commercial. He said the exact opposite, that he sees drones. So bottom line, Marky, we don't know. We simply don't know. And it's what.
And right there, that's the part. That's the part that I wanted to point out and emphasize on, Professor. The authorities, the people that we trust, the people that we believe they have the right to say so, and we go by their research, and we go by we don't collect our own data, we don't collect our own research, and we're trusting and believing that these people have our best interests, and they just finished telling us they don't know what the hell these drones coming from. Now, they tried to make it seem as if it was a conspiracy theory, D. You know how we feel about them conspiracy theories. Let me put on my 10 for a goofy, D. Let me put on my 10 for a goofy.
Well, Juice, you know why people believe that? The reason is Romans chapter 13, 1 through 7. It speaks of authority. And if the readers take time and read that been put in people's head, that what's authority? And the authority is on earth. They're claiming that they are the authority of the Most High and who they represent. That's where that comes from.
With it. That's the sad part, D. They getting away with it.
Well, this is brainwash in people's head.
And the reason I played that video, D, let me just chime in, is because I bet a half of our audience that come across this platform didn't even know this type of stuff going on right now in America. And it's unexplainable. You just heard the guy say authorities can't explain it. So what we have to do, we have to take accountability into our hands and say, hey, is this affecting my community? What is these drones? What is the purpose of these drones? Is this drones collecting data, Professor? There you go. That's your favorite term, collecting data. Are they collecting data on us? Are they watching us? In some kind of way, they're going to use this data to either make money off us, exploit us in some kind of way, or possibly, are these drones here to help us wake up and pay attention to things that we're unaware of? They say these things coming straight off the ocean. They don't even know where they coming from. Come on now, let's keep it 100. Let's say some type of drone technology that can harness energy and they just fly forever and they fly for days and weeks at a time. Where the hell did these drones come from? They can't track it with all the technology we got. We can't track this. We can't analyze this stuff to find out what's the origin or the source. Chime in, Professor.
So a couple things. The first thing is that from a military and a classified situation, you know, I've held top secret clearance. And under that umbrella of top secret, there's a term that the government used to engage or not engage with the public. And that is, does the public have a need to know? Number one. Does the public have a need to know? That's in policy. So if the public doesn't have a need to know, you will never know. Number one. Okay. Number two, the government just passed a law where you can fly drones at nighttime. That's personal and private aviation. Okay. When you think about the technology that exists in drones, you are correct. There's a lot of things you can do with a drone. You can conduct surveillance opportunity. You can collect all sorts of data. To give you an example, they took a picture of my roof and gave it to my insurance company. And until I get a software done, which I need to hurry up and get done, they will not renew my insurance policy. And that photo of my roof came from a drone. So my point is that you're right. They do have technology. And I guarantee you, if some black folks was up there flying a drone, they would tell you who doing it, why they doing it, and they shouldn't do it. So we know black folks ain't flying drones because they would tell you. So there's a lot of speculation around that, but I can guarantee you that it is doing surveillance. I can also guarantee you that it's collecting data because they're not up there flying drones like, you know, it's March and they're flying kites.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm saying, Professor. And I want to comment on something that you just said earlier. You said, what was it you said? You said, damn it.
You gotta
I
stay
forgot
awake in
that
class.
quick.
I know you gotta stay awake. I know you've been running. You up 4 miles.
But yeah, I'm tired as a motherfucker. Hey, what you were saying something about they collecting the data.
Yep, and surveillance.
And you said something about, oh yeah, but isn't it true? In order to fly a drone, the FAA regulates those flights at a certain height and a certain distance. So they know what's in the air. And doesn't this pose a safety issue for the FFA?
Well, they have it, like you said, at the Stewart Air Base up in New York. They closed the base. We haven't heard whether or not they have prevented a risk. You never heard of risk. In fact, they said law enforcement said that they don't pose a risk. But here's the thing. It's against the law at this point, and I think they're working on passing the law right now. It's against the law for law enforcement to engage those drones right now.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Hey, let's see what somebody in the comment section said. Minister Goodbar said, Mr. Goodbar said, I call him Minister Goodbar. I own a DJI Mavic mini drone and I fly it near open, he said, and I fly it near open-minded people, not the ignorant. Oh, okay. He said, so he's basically saying he flies it with people who understand and whoever. And he said he gave another comment. As long as there is no high levels of radiation involved, we know it's not an extraterrestrial being or an aircraft. Okay. Hey, I love that humor. He said no radiation. So how do we know extraterrestrials leave radiation, Mr. Goodbar? How do we know that? So that's the question, Professor. D, you want to chime in on this a little bit more?
Okay. One thing I was looking at the news too about the drone situation. Basically, they start flying them at night, and that's what they've been having the problem with. And they are falling airplanes, and so they have the technology, but it's not implemented in certain cities. So if you fly around like government uh, base or DC areas, and then they have something for that. But just around regular places, they're not using the technology. And so you got to remember, there's a lot of people trying to do scarcity, make news. But our point is, how are we going to make money? And that's what something we have to be focused on, because this drone stuff is half for it to be an illusion. They just doing it just to hang out, nerdies. They bored. They bored.
Yep. Hey, I want to play one more quick video, something I came across, and it ties into the past concerns of the past election 2024. The national elections, me and Professor, we was gotten into a deep discussion earlier about how a lot of our folks need to be more in tune into local elections and just trying to understand the depth of how our people are voting and how a lot of our people went red. If y'all know what I'm talking about, a lot of people went red. A lot of black people went red. And they changing the way that they view things politically, and they're trying to harness political power in a different manner now. And we're looking, more people are more concerned about economics. So I want to get into a real quick video for y'all real quick to just kind of show you some of the stuff that they're not playing for you. This is from MSNBC, this article.
Let me start with the women.
Let's try it. See if we can play this here for y'all.
About Kamala. What are your feelings? And let me
see if I can blow it up for y'all.
Start with the women here about Kamala Harris. Feelings, and let me start with the women here about Kamala Harris.
She's a woman of color. I'm not putting her down because of that, and I'm not putting her down because she's a woman. I'm not a feminist, so I'm sorry. But at the end of the day, I don't think that she has the personality. I don't think that she has what it takes to go up against Putin and go up against these other presidents that are built for this. I don't want to be scared because my president is scared. I want my president to feel secure and manly and about it.
We brought up gender, right? Like, do you think it matters that she's a woman and people aren't comfortable having a woman in a top leadership role?
No, I don't think that, because most men, they love their mothers. They love their wives. So as a woman, most men, they respect the woman. But she just don't have the qualification or the education to really run America, because she don't have the experience. She don't understand our struggles. And for me to believe you for another 4 years, you're crazy.
Right.
Like, you're crazy. You're saying the same thing that you said 4 years ago.
So the fact that she's the vice president
That's
to
just
you
the
is
bottom line.
You're like, you've been here, you've had a chance.
Yes.
Well, for me, the very first time I ever heard the name Kamala Harris, it was in association to locking up parents for truancy. That was the first time I ever heard of her name. And I really didn't understand how this person claims to be a black woman, but yet she's locking up black women and black men and separating families.
This is a thing that is, Trump talks about this a lot. He says, Kamala Harris became black when it was convenient.
Right. Yeah.
Can you Can you talk to me about, do you agree with him on that? Do you feel like she's wearing her blackness?
Absolutely. When she swore into the Senate, it was as the first Indian American.
Thank you.
Which is, it's fine. We don't care.
We all know she's not black. Let's understand that. We are all clear of that. But my point of view, like I told you earlier, she's already been there. She's in office right now.
Now, to be clear, the voters I spoke with here are not representative of black voters in Philadelphia on whole. Black voters are expected to support Kamala Harris by wide margins this election. The question is, how many voters from this blue county can Donald Trump pick off? To that end, I asked these black Republicans about what part of Trump's message is resonating. Are you guys all, do you all know who you're voting for in November? You're going to all vote for Trump?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, is there one issue that is the one that you think just Trump is hands down better on? Is there one issue that's driving your support?
Absolutely. For me, it's immigration. I myself come from an immigrant family. I'm Guatemalan. And for us, like seeing the new immigrants come in, it's just, they're more violent. It's more chaos. They do more bad than anything. And we've been here for longer than them. And it's starting to affect us more because like stuff is getting stolen. They're making us look bad as immigrants if we stayed longer than them. And we've been getting more like misrepresentation because of them.
What do you think about the suggestion of mass deportation camps?
Y'all heard that part? Now, he's an immigrant himself, and this is why you have to delineate and point out the fact that they're not like us. Because they will come in and misrepresent you and have people looking at you sideways when you know you've been raised with a certain value in your culture, but now your value gets devalued because they're just lumping you in as one big subgroup.
I think it's a little bit iffy. I wouldn't say I would support it full-heartedly, but I do think it's a good idea for the new immigrants coming in because they are the problem.
The part that drives me crazy about immigration is the fact that I really do feel is that the Democrats is celebrating people breaking the law. Why create the law, create a whole process for immigration for y'all to break it?
Trump says, like, they're coming to take your jobs, black job. How did that resonate with you?
Well, first of all, they are. They are illegal aliens. They are taking jobs that belong to the citizens of this country. It's just the fact that Trump is saying it out loud. That's why the fact that we rally around behind Trump, because at the end of the day, this is the stuff we've been shouting out as a community.
I was born and raised in Haiti.
You're Haitian.
That's correct.
So what do you think of all this talk about Springfield and Haitians eating pets? I mean, does that bother you?
That's a red herrings. Again, that's a red herrings. You guys keep coming with red herrings. I'm talking about the policies.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
It is a red herrings.
You didn't say it?
I'm not saying he didn't say it, but it is an issue. I'm talking about the policies that have been put in place. Now we're talking about red herrings, whether it's transgender or it's eating cat or dogs. It's silly. It's silly.
I agree with the idea of mass deportation, largely. You have criminals in this country who are destroying our nation. They're coming in here, getting...
Okay, that's enough. But let's talk about that. Mass deportation. Professor, do you think deportation will help the economic access to resources to the foundational Black American community? And education, would that lead into certain different types of education if the resources were there? And do you think that blacks in America have a lack of education because they have a lack of resources? Do you think all this stuff coincides with one another?
So your first question was, do I believe that mass deportation would help Black people? I'm saying that I don't believe that it would have an impact either way, based on how Black people are conducting themselves or moving, as you would like to describe. The way we move, as you describe, is what the main factor is, as opposed to deportation. And let me just make a couple examples of that, right? So whether people are staying here or leaving, if your priorities on how you spend money, and you like to harp on that, if that doesn't change, it doesn't matter whether or not these people are here or go back home. If you're not creating black businesses so that you can hire your own people, if you don't have that mindset, whether these people are here or not, is not going to matter. From what I believe, if you're not educating yourself to compete on a global level, then whether these people are here or not is not going to matter. You know what I'm saying? If you continue to shoot and kill each other the way you're shooting and killing each other right now, it don't matter whether these people are here or not, Dr. Juice. What do you think, D?
Well, one thing people don't understand something. I know you was in the military, and I was in one college. And one thing was one that I studied was the state of war. The state of war. It's not a declaration of war, but it's a state of war. And the state of war, it can be two or more countries or groups of fighting each other with weapons. So for us, we don't even know that we are under a state of war. So we look at wars like two countries, but it can be a group of people. State of war. So we've been heading state of war for generations, fighting each other. 2 groups, 3 groups. So even right now, people think it's peacetime. We've been in a state of war for a long time. United States always been fighting somebody, in which we don't even see it. We don't understand what's going out there. But my opinion, we've been at a state of war for a minute with each other.
So Dr. Juice's question was, what impact does mass deportation have on black people? And I'm saying that if we continue to behave in the way we're behaving, it has no impact. It has no impact. I don't see the impact that mass deportation is going to have on black people. I think that the things that are going on with black people are self-inflicted. At this point, it's self-inflicted. Why would I? And I mean, and none of us really. I don't agree with everything that you say. I don't agree with everything that Dr. Juice say, and y'all damn sure don't agree with everything that I say. But guess what? We ain't shooting and killing each other because we're not agreeing. We're not cussing each other out. We haven't stopped speaking to each other because we don't agree with certain philosophical views.
Well, one thing we realize, some of us realize that we have a European mind. We've been taught everything about Europeans, so we don't know. Not all of us doesn't know about other country and their society, other societies. But most of everybody want to be under the European way of religion and have a real European mindset. And we understand that. So when you start talking to other groups, you got to talk to them and see where their mind is, where their head.
Absolutely.
Well, you can look on social media and tell where most black people mind is.
Well,
I wouldn't say most, but I would say the part of our culture that they pay the most attention to and they view in how they envision us, they want to envision the part of our community that's not proactive. They want to view the people that, you know, want to be seen, the attention seekers, if I might say. They don't really look at people like Urban Matters Black Media Group, what we're doing right now. They don't celebrate this type of camaraderie. They celebrate the ratchet type side of our. They don't they don't really celebrate black business ownership. They like to celebrate black entertainers. And if you paid attention again, like I say, to the 2024 election, you'll see how they pandered more towards entertaining and kind of rocking us to sleep and babysitting us into with entertainers and these $1 million entertainers. They want to let them come out and tell us how to think. And that's what I'm trying to, me and Professor, we like to go, we kind of bump heads at this point when it comes to philosophies that, me personally, if we don't sacrifice anything, there is no reward. And so we think that we can make money, but we don't understand how to invest that money and sustain that wealth. We black people don't have a problem with making money, but we do have a problem with investing in one another. We do have that problem. And that's two financial dynamics that shouldn't coexist. It'll never be able to coexist. You got people that make money, like a lot of our superstars and our sports moguls. They make plenty of money. But if they bring any of that money back into the community, they are frowned upon. They are shamed. Don't do that. They got all these financial people directing them that have no beneficial uh, camaraderie with their community, with our black communities, with our black American communities. And I
Well,
like to be specific about that when I say black foundational Americans, the indigenous people, the Indians, the aboriginals that were here before slavery, pre-Columbus. Brady.
well, Juice, that's right. But when you look at the non-fictional, you'll see that the villain is always being the mask in the white jacket.
Mm-hmm. If y'all turn your monitors down a little bit, that'll stop some of that feedback we get. Either turn your headphones down or turn your monitor down.
How's that?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Yeah. So we grew up watching some type of Superman heroes or cartoon or something, and they're always showing us the villain is the white jackets. And
No, the villain is always the black jackets. The
well,
hero being the white colors.
well,
Sometimes.
most of the time, the scientists they showing you the scientist
Oh,
is
okay.
the scientists. They're in the
The
white
savior.
jacket, and those are the one who's doing the creation, while you got the other people still living under a fiction. So now you grew up watching this. So nobody wanted to be the mad scientist. So when you start saying science in our people's head, that's all they've been looking at, mad scientists all their life. They don't think about being a scientist.
Yeah.
So how do you think?
Mr. Walsh in the comment section say it's the energy. The energy just different.
Right. So how do you think outside the box?
Yeah.
When you got a program in your head that you don't want to be the mad scientist. Look, 18, I like going to 1800s and look at all the people want to become professors. So when I started looking at HBCUs, schools, college, it was military men who started these schools. White military men.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to Alabama State. None of this been taught.
And y'all that's supposed to be a black school, right, D?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Right. Howard University, white man started. Military. I was taught by the Tuskegee Airmen, the original Tuskegee Airmen, in War College. So, we have experience. These people passed now. Wallace. I sat at the table with George C. Wallace, the one who stood in front of the University of Alabama. We have no niggers here. Him. We have experience on this board.
Mm-mm.
So the stuff we talk about, we experience it. Science on it. I decided to go get a science degree. And the stuff I've seen and stuff I have learned, I was the only person of color in those positions. And while I was in engineering school, it was plenty of us in there. But when we hit the job market, I'm like, what happened?
Mm-mm.
Most of our people, man, they was working for UPS with an engineering degree.
Miseducation of the Negro. Professor, didn't you have some data you wanted to present to us that kind of addresses what Brother D just so eloquently addressed?
I do. I absolutely do. One of the things that we went round and round about today was, we talked about what does success looks like in the black community from my perspective, right? And how does that compare? How does other models of success look in other cultures? Because we obviously need a model because we don't have our own blueprint as black people in America. So there's a lot of cultural models that I happen to like, and there's a lot of cultural models that I don't like. Okay. But overall, the groups of people that I see winning, they have three core values in their business model. The first one is family. The second is education. And the third is economic independence. And I can pop my screen up to show you some data from the Brookings Institute that I find to be very interesting. And I'll just pop that up on my screen. You like for me to show data, and you like for me to have class. And that's what I'm here for. Like I told you before, everybody have their professor, but we have a black professor, so I'm going to do my job. So there's my screen.
We got a lot of, while you pulling that up, Professor, let me go over some of these comments in the comment section coming through.
Yeah. All right.
Rondell, Mr. Walsh says, science is the key. He also says we have to educate ourselves on how this place is set up and move accordingly as a unit. And Mr. Evans came in chiming in, my brother Marky Mark, say military and churches. I guess he was addressing some of that independence. And Mr. Walsh said it's all about economic independence at the end of the day. It's all about economic independence. That's how we gonna win, them boys saying. You say military, I guess bro Mark saying we gotta become military minded. And the church gotta be military minded too, the black church. And you were saying something about it earlier, Professor. You were saying something about how our churches are the one lasting institution in the black communities that really should be taking charge when it comes to this education thing. Brother D, would you agree with that?
Well, yes, I agree with that, but the churches have to get themselves back in order. They out of order.
Wow. Wow. That is very interesting. Oh, that was a direct statement there, bro D. You might have ruffled some feathers with that one.
Well, you know, one thing if you get rid of the strong men, what you got? It's no men. Where your strength? You know, it's supposed to what I was taught. You know, the Father, which is the Heavenly Father, man, woman, child. The order is not there anymore.
Yes, sir.
The order is not there. It's no family.
The order is not there. The order's out of order.
It's out of
disorder
order
in our community, dysfunction in our households. I get it, D. Dysfunction in our church. I get it.
Right.
I get it. Yes. Proportions. All right, Professor, fill us in on this chart. Let's run it.
So this data is from the Brookings
bathroom break.
Okay. So this data is from the Brookings Institute, which of course is one of the premier think tanks in America. Just for those who never heard of the Brookings Institute, I don't want to assume that everybody's heard of the Brookings Institute, but this is data from their analysis 2019, and it talks about the proportion of employer and non-employer businesses by race and ethnicity. And what I find very interesting in this data is that, first of all, they have three categories of black people, which I find to be striking. They have black women, they have black men, and they have black or African American. Of course, I don't know the difference between all of those. And then, of course, they have American Indians, Alaskans, Hispanics, they have Native Hawaiians, and then, of course, they have white and Asians. And what this data is showing here is the percentage of businesses that are employer-based versus non-employer business. Now, why am I pointing this data out? So based on our conversation today, Juice, I talked about what does winning looks like in the foundational black community. What does it look like? What does success look like? So from my perspective, success looks like the ability to hire your own people. That's what success looks like to me. When Dr. Juice talks about group economics and how we must have a collective mindset toward economics and doing business with each other. Well, the Brookings Institute says that 95%, 95.6% to be exact, are sole proprietors. Now, how does that tie into the church? The church has an ideology of self-salvation. It doesn't have an ideology of group salvation. It has an ideology of self-salvation. And you can see that in how we do business. And you can see that if 95.6% of black people in America are doing their own things and we're not building sustainable businesses where we can hire each other, then how could you expect group economics to take place? So one of the focuses should be on how do we make money? How do we come together and make money? Now, according to data that we can pull up, the Black church brings in over $9 million a week across the nation. So who's Pastor Polk Chop hiring? Who's Reverend Ham hiring? You know, who's Bishop Sandwich hiring? If they're bringing in $9 million a week, and here you can clearly see that the Brookings Institute says that you have 95.6% sole proprietors. So part of your economic solution, Dr. Juice, has to be a mindset of where we're developing innovative businesses so that we can hire each other. You take D, for instance. D, my boy. He my ride or die. And guess what? He's a big part of the Voss enterprise, especially on it's all wood. We have a lot of customers. He makes sure that our wood get to our customers.
D is an intricate part of the team.
Absolutely. So here's what I'm saying, Dr. Juice. I can help D. I can put money in D pocket because I have a business that I control. And D has a resource. D has a truck. I totaled my truck, I guess it's 2 years now. I don't have a truck. Okay? But D has a truck. It's just like eating, right? Juice, you got a potato. D got some oxtails. I got some vegetables. And we put that all in a pot and we cook it so we all can eat. So I'll land my plane by saying that I live by that example. Yeah, I sell firewood and we do good with selling firewood. So D and I are able to eat together because we produce the wood, D delivers the wood, the customer pay us, and we eat. And we have to move away from this 95.6%, this self-salvation that's being preached in your churches to the group economics, Dr. Juice, that you're looking to achieve, sir.
Absolutely.
Hey, let me comment on something.
And we will achieve it. We will achieve it.
Juice,
but everybody ain't coming along for the ride. I hate to say that, Professor. Go ahead, bro D.
Well, shoot, I'm trying to remember what to say. With that, man, the money, what people got more concentrated on now is corporate. They are not concentrated on resources, natural resources. And when we was growing up, we had natural resources. Absolutely. So now that the change became more corporate resources. Everybody mind structure in the Atlanta area is on corporation resources. But when you go to the middle of Georgia, it's all resources. So the governor is being picked by more of the resources people, not people from Atlanta. And the same thing when Professor down the middle of Georgia, everybody down there was going for Trump. So, and the resources there livestock, pecans. They have resources. We used to have those resources.
Absolutely.
We
These brothers
left.
in the comment section getting off, boy. They love y'all boys' content. They say, boy, y'all drop y'all some OGs, boy. Y'all dropping some jewels.
Read some of the stuff they're saying.
It's in the comment section.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can read.
Facebook comment.
We left our resources to become corporate, and now once we became corporate, we broke. No jobs, laid off.
And you're a student loan debt with a worthless degree.
Student loan debt with
ain't worth nothing.
To theory. To learn theory. You didn't learn anything. You learned theory.
One brother chiming in on text message. He said the average black church contributes $727 per year to the community service organizations. That's from Ammerman 2000. This is consistent with the national trend of congressional support for social service efforts.
So I have a question, Dr. Juice. If what he's saying is true, then why is all the data around those churches horrific? Why around those same churches, drug problem is at an all-time high? Why is pregnancy at an all-time high? Why is unemployment is at an all-time high? And there's data all around these churches. Hell, I can look just in Lake Wales. You got 10 churches. You got 10 churches on one street. And your poverty. See, let me tell you what I believe. I believe that churches contribute, especially in Lake Wales. I believe churches contribute to poverty. That's why your poverty is at 20% because of the churches.
Is it the church is a corporation?
Wow.
No, it's no corporation. They're a bunch of jack-legged preachers that's functional. Wow. They're illiterate. You say, oh, why you say illiterate? Because I read the BS that they put on social media. They can't write. They can't speak. They're not teaching critical thinking.
Well, what's their resources?
I'm sorry?
What's their resources?
Working black women.
Let me read an excerpt. Let me read an excerpt out of Powernomics real quick by Dr. Claude Anderson, real quick, Professor, that'll kind of correlate what you're saying right now. He said, much of my personal inspiration for writing Powernomics, the book, came from the readers of the Black Labor, White Wealth series and people who attended lectures and workshops I have presented. He said, many of them thank me for explaining the problems and presenting principles that should be used in crafting solutions. Then they asked me to take one more step and blend my experiences and research into a program of action that individuals and groups can follow to empower their communities. Powernomics provides that missing link between the historical analysis of the problems facing blacks and the strategies needed to correct those problems. So he's saying he's identifying the problems, as well as once he's identified them, he comes up with principles and solutions to follow, somewhat of a code of conduct type of guideline or blueprint that we can follow in family. It takes consistency. It takes persistence. It takes courage. It takes ability. It takes education. And me and Professor, we make this clarification all the time about when it comes to education. Education doesn't mean you got to go to this big fancy Ivy League school and or even an HBCU. No pun intended, bro D. But it takes some type of alternative form of educating yourself and taking the initiative to say, hey, I want to learn. I want to change things. I want to make things different on a collective level. One or two or three of us, like I tell Professor all the time, bro D, when I first started this podcast, I didn't have to do this. Man, listen, we crossed the highway, bro. We were Gucci over there. Am I right, Professor?
Correct.
Most of us had daddies.
All of us had
just like he said his daughter said. And so those fathers back then, they taught us how to be upstanding men, and they taught us how to have order, as you might say, D. The order's gone in our communities. But they taught us that. And then when they teach us that nowadays, oh, that's toxic if you're going to be a man with order in your household. You toxic. You have toxic masculinity traits, bro, D. Mr. Goodbar say we have to stop allowing it. Also, Mr. Wall said we got to start looking at each other as value. That's what you be saying, Professor.
But let me show you.
We got the young king, the young lion said we got to start looking at each other as valuable.
Let me tell you what, I'm risk management. I got to talk about risk.
Wow.
I got to talk about risk, Dr. Juice. This, I'm going to use your language. There's a lot of people going to be butthurt by what I'm about to say. But I don't care.
Well,
so here's the challenge.
The network of butthurt.
Yep. Here's the challenge that you have. And I always, you've always taught me when you talk to black folks, they're so damn sensitive. You got to come up with some disclosures. So I'm not bashing anybody. I'm not putting anybody down and all this bullshit, okay? There's your disclosure.
Hold on. Let me see if I give them the trigger alert. Let me get the trigger alert
out
there
get
first.
The trigger, because I'm about to say something here.
Hold on, let me see if I can find it.
Yep. This about to get triggered, Dr. Juice, for real.
Did we get that trigger alert?
No, but I'd love to hear it. Please give me the trigger alert.
Let's see if we can let y'all hear it real quick.
Yep.
Hold on.
You gotta get that trigger alert together, Dr. Juice.
Trigger alert. Trigger alert. Go ahead, Professor.
Okay. Y'all stop me anytime that you disagree. Number one, in America, and I'm talking to you, black men, in America, sir, when a black woman, when she cannot feed her children or her child, the government sends her a check. When a black man can't feed his children or his child, the government sends him to jail. So what does this mean? Most black women, if not all, are government sponsored. Okay? They're government sponsored and they're also empowered financially these days to be the head of the household because she make more money than you, bro. She's because she's sponsored by the government, she gets a better education than you. Now, as a man, you're going to have to figure out how you can independently gain control of being a man in your house. Now, here's where the problem is. If most men, if they didn't have the fear of losing shit, losing their car, losing their house, over half of them women y'all will walk away from. Yeah, it's how they're moving. Especially the ones that's sponsored by the government. So before you can get out here, brothers, and do all these things,
by the morning, you might be gonna suffocate yourself.
And do all these things that you say you're gonna do, or can do, or want to do. You got to get yourself in order. Number one, you got to put yourself in a situation where you are economically strong. Okay, because not only are you sleeping with the enemy, you're sleeping with somebody that's sponsored by the government. And those kind of conversations have to be had. And I'll tell you how I address the conversation, right? because I got corporate women in my life. But let me tell you about the corporate women that I have in my life. They understand that no matter what they're doing, they're still working on the plantation. They're still sitting at that man's table eating. Okay? And they also know that that man's scared of me and he's not going to let me sit at the same table, no matter how much education and skills that I have. But here's my requirement for any black woman who I deal with, and they don't have a problem with dealing with that because that's what our black women had to do in the past. If you're sitting at that man's table and you know that I'm out here working on being free every day, my expectations from you is to sit some of that ham, that turkey, or whatever you and that white man eating at the table. I expect you to sit some of that out for the back door for me. That's what I expect. Sit some of that food out the back door. See, it's so many of you brothers, man, that and I'm saying you got to have now. You got to be on point to get this now. I ain't talking about the moist. I'm not talking about the simps. I'm talking about the brothers who stand up, real brothers. Okay, to get what I'm talking about getting. A lot of y'all, the women to go out there and give them white men on the plantation more energy than they give you in your house. That man called them, they're gonna come jump and running. You can't even get a sandwich. Oh, I'm tired. I've been working all day. Bro, you got to get that's why I started out with family first. When I look at these other cultures, family, education, and independent economics. So it starts with you, black man. But Pastor Polk Chop, he got your woman convinced that you on the third string, bro. You're not on the first string. So until
Pastor Polk Chop. And listen, I'm gonna say something too to the effect of that. That is so true. I think essence, because usually I can like rule out one age group. I can say, oh well, they ain't got the millennials like that. They don't have the baby boomers like that, or they don't have Generation X like that. Boy, they got all generations. Religion has played a very big part in a lot of the stagnation of our communities. And I think not, and I point that out because I think that they could be so much more effective. Would you say so, Professor?
Let me tell you how much effective that they can be. You like for me to talk about history, and I'll give you a quick history lesson. So, King James rewrote the Bible in 1611. All right. You can go Google everything that I'm telling you. And so that came out of England. I lived in England. In fact, I got my master's degree in England. I lived in England for 5 years. So got a little background about, the Church of England, the Protestant Catholics, and all that kind of stuff. So when you look at Sunday school was designed in Europe for the children because there were no child labor laws. They were working children. It was terrible. So they created Sunday school to help educate some of those children who had to work like crazy. Now, the black folks, they took that same model and created Sunday school as well. Because back then, during the wintertime.
So you telling me black people are the founders and the creators of Sunday school?
No, I'm not saying that. I said the English people were. That came out, Sunday school came out of the Catholic Church. Ain't got nothing to do with you as a black foundational person, indigenous, nor does it have anything to do with where you come from in Africa. That's just a fact. Sunday school came out of the European culture. Now, black people, in our quest to become more literate, right? Because we had to sneak and hide, and we had to go to church under white supervision. See, that's another thing black people don't understand. You couldn't go to church by yourself. You had to have a white person there supervising you, okay? Now, black people use Sunday school to educate themselves because, number one, black men during harvest time had to pick. They had to pick cotton. They had to pick oranges. They had to pick watermelon. They had
Wait
to
a
pick
minute, wait a minute,
anything.
Professor. Let me just get a little bit of more clarity, not to cut you off, but you saying
Sure,
that
cut me off.
they use Sunday school to educate themselves how? In
I
what?
was headed that way.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is that, and I use my daddy as an example. My daddy only had a third grade education. My daddy was born in 1905. So those guys, most black people my daddy age had at least a third grade education, because just like in Lake Wales, if you look at Lake Wales, black men didn't start going to school in Lake Wales until the 40s. I have a picture of the first graduating class of Roosevelt. It was 1940. You couldn't go to school.
Wow,
You
this is
had
the
to
type
go.
of stuff we need to be discussing at the Martin Luther King celebration, the
Man, don't
upcoming
start.
Martin Luther King
Don't start
celebration
me
in
with
Lake
that.
Wales, Professor.
Don't start that. Let me finish, because now you about to trigger me. I'll get to that. Don't start me.
Okay, finish, Professor. No, don't get
But let me land my plane on this right quick. So Sunday school, even in Lake Wales, because it was the first Baptist missionary church, is where black people were first educated in Lake Wales. It wasn't Roosevelt. It was the first Baptist missionary church. And here's the thing, check this out. The black teachers at the black schools, they used Sunday school as their educational platform to teach those black boys who had to go out in the fruit grove in the fall. Think about when the fruit get right, Dr. Juice. See, that's fruit talking now. When the fruit get right, Dr. Juice, what month?
Right around now, right around this time of year right here. November, December, January.
This school's
it depends on what type. Citrus did, but if you're talking watermelons or you're talking some type of other tropical fruit, most of the tropical fruits, they get ripe around springtime.
Right. That's going into the summertime. That's why Lake Wales was a transit town, right? You pick fruit in the wintertime, and you went and picked watermelons and apples when it was transit.
Right.
You were migrants. Before they had Mexicans, y'all were the migrants in Lake Wales. In fact, let me just throw this out before I keep going. The reason why you have so many damn churches in Lake Wales is because we came from so many places, different places. Your people came from Mississippi. My people came from Alabama. My best friend, his people came from South Carolina. There were people, you ask people from Lake Wales, say, hey man, where your grandparents from? Matter of fact, 90% of the black people in Haines City came from Enterprise, Alabama. That's why everybody's so black in Haines City, because they came from Enterprise. But anyway, the church Sunday school was designed to teach those students who had to go pick fruit during the wintertime. And those same teachers were teachers who taught in the schools. They were educated, Dr. Juice. That's where the Sunday school purpose was when we were colored. But now that's a whole different. I don't even do y'all ask some of your preacher friends, Dr. Juice. I don't even know if they have Sunday school. But I can tell you this much: the people who are teaching Sunday school, whatever church, they're not school teachers, and I can tell you why. Because I read what they write. I read what they write on social media, and they're functionally illiterate. They can't write, so they're not teachers. So what are they teaching?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Professor. I just got a little video in the background playing while you elaborating on the local area.
Right. So I'll land my plane by saying that, number one, the problem that I have with the black church, you have all of these underutilized buildings. How often do they use the church, Dr. Juice? 2 times, maybe 3 times a week. What are you doing with the rest of the? What are you doing
3 times,
the rest of the
boy.
week?
That's getting them too much blessing.
So okay, 3 times a week. How many days in a week? 7 days in a week. So you're telling me that you got 4 days of the week that church is not being utilized, Dr. Juice? And then how many black teachers How many black teachers? Now, see, here's a data project. Here's a data project, Dr. Juice. How many black teachers? How many retired black teachers do you have in Polk County? Do you know that number, Dr. Juice?
No, I do not,
Professor, I know what that is. We're gonna. So what I'm saying is, that's a data project, Dr. Juice. Now, how many of those chicken-eating pastors that you got down there will be willing to share the revenue that they make every Sunday for you to find out, to identify those I would call them surplus, underutilized teachers? Who's willing to finance that project?
That's a great question, Professor. Great question. Great question.
I see your boy Carlos. That's my boy Carlos, man. I can't read what he's saying. That's Lake Wells right there. You know something? That's not the Lake Wells that I knew growing up. That is not the Lake Wells that I knew.
Bro, Carlos say black on black crime has dropped in Cali. They are not killing one another like in the 80s and 90s. In fact, hate crimes against American Africans, he says American Africans. He didn't say African American. He said American Africans. I love that. I love the way my brother eloquently elaborated on and emphasized the American in it. I love that, bro.
Half the black people there are homeless, but go ahead.
Exactly. He said, is at a all-time high, which they don't talk about. Now what starts in California ends up everywhere else. Mainstream media will not report on it. The violence is coming from the illegals that are coming over. There you go with them immigrants. I've been telling you, Professor, the Democrats know about the numbers. To me, it's a plan. They want us fighting the illegals.
Dr. Juice, over 50% of the black people in LA are homeless. What the hell are they fighting about? They trying to eat. They fighting for food. Look at the numbers. You want to put it? I'll tell you what. Let's put
Mr. Goodbar say my granddaddy Gator came from Tucaloosa, Alabama.
Gator Cherry?
That's what he said.
No. Tuscaloosa.
No, he said Gator though. I wonder was that Gator Cherry. I never knew where they came from.
No, I was just saying Tuscaloosa.
Like Gator. You remember Gator used to ride the bicycle around, old man Gator. They call him bicycle Gator. Well, this is Lake Wells on the screen right here, y'all. We showing y'all, we giving y'all a right now look of how Lake Wells look. Look at this, broke down cars, buildings,
state of war,
dilapidated.
State of war. State of war.
State of war. This area right here that they're showing now on the screen, this is called Sonata Beach. This used to be a black-owned beachfront right here in Lake Wells, Florida. If you ever go back behind Houston Motors right off of Highway 27, this place used to be, I'm talking about, you talk about jazz and blues spots. I mean, they had it, man, real live music. This place right here, it was his own oasis. It sat on on the side of a river. This is a river on the back here. If he goes through this building right here and he goes into the back part of it, you'll see that there's a whole beach back there. But
sure, Dr. Juice, share my screen right quick and go back there. I just want to share my screen so we can keep going. Share my screen right quick.
Okay.
Share my screen right quick because I still want to deal with Carlos. I want to make a point. Share my screen right quick.
State of war.
2 seconds. Wow.
Just want to point out, this is LA. You was talking about California. All right. I don't know if you can see the bottom. So you got blacks, you got 9% of blacks in the city of LA. Right? You got 60% homeless. And then spot 6, I guess that's somewhere in California. But that's 70%. City 8, California, 80%. They homeless. They homeless.
They live in their cars.
They living in cars. They ain't got time to fight, bro. The crime went down because they were fighting and killing each other in LA over drugs and crack. Half of them in jail and the other half is homeless. That's what you're gonna see in Lake Wales, bro. For black men, that's where you're headed right there. Grady putting them in jail 100 at a time. Last time I saw Sheriff Grady Judge, he had put 145 of them in jail. He caught 145 at one time. They're going to jail, bro. Just wanted to point that out. Keep going, Dr. Juice. I remember I might have been in that room in Snyder Beach one day. I know Snyder Beach.
Right.
Look, Dr. Juice. When Lake Wales was segregated, okay, you couldn't go across those Seaboard Railroad tracks over there by the projects. Lake Wales was a sundown town. The Grand Wizard from Lake Wales, so if they caught your black ass across Seaboard Railroad, that was a problem. So what did black people have to do? Black people, we had our own beach. We didn't have to go to Big Lake Wales. You weren't allowed. You were not allowed on Big Lake Wales. That's where you had to go, right there, Snyder Beach. Snyder Beach. So you're telling me, with all that money and all them preachers and all those churches, you couldn't have gotten together to save Snyder Beach, bro?
Wow.
Those black churches down there couldn't even get together and put together a what do you call it? A packages for the hurricane. Not one church, bro, that I saw. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like Trump say, man, that place can turn into a hellhole, and I hold the churches responsible.
It's the old warehouses over there off Seaboard, around the railroad track.
Used to be full of black people when I was growing up. Full of black people working. All of that. Full of black people working, bro.
That's right off of Dorset Avenue.
Full of black people. See, what you have in me from a history, I can talk about. I was born in 1959, right? So I can talk about Lake Wales in the 60s. I can talk about, that's Mr. Roy place right there. I know exactly what you're talking about. I can talk about Lake Wales in the 70s and the 80s. You see that packing house right there? That packing house used to be full of black people. That store right now today, who owns that store, Juice? There's an Indian. There's an East Indian guy for the longest been in that store.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now stop right there, Dr. Juice. See, no, stop right there. Stop right there. Stop right there. That used to be my best friend, Hiram Sanders. His daddy used to own a butcher shop right there. A black butcher shop right there where that slab of concrete. Hiram Sanders' daddy used to own a grocery store right there. Right there. A butcher. A black butcher. You know why? Because you couldn't go downtown and buy meat from them white people. But you sold. Yeah, you could. Listen.
Mr. Goodbar says Seaboard Avenue was originally Florida Natural before they moved to US 27.
Exactly. But right where that railroad is right there, that was the border for the sundown in Lake Wales. Lake Wales was a sundown town because the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan was in Lake Wales. And if they caught your black ass across the Seaboard Railroad tracks after dark, that was a problem. And check this out, Dr. Juice.
That's what Mr. Goodbar just said. He said you work for the white man, you couldn't cross them tracks unless you work for the white man.
But check this out, Dr. Juice. Watch this.
You mean to tell me Lake Wales was literally a sundown town? Man, this is great history we're learning here at Urban Matters Black Media Group.
Dr. Juice, you know that right as you cross Seaboard Avenue, you know that little white building that used to be what that little white building was? Wasn't it a petroleum place? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That was the jail for black people.
It was. I think it was some type of railroad mechanic.
Sir, that was the Negro jail in Lake Wales, sir.
Wow.
My God, see that house right there? That was my godparents lived on that corner right there. That house.
Street and North Avenue.
Yes, that was
Avenue.
One of the richest black women in Lake Wales on the left side of that video was Miss Sally Snyder. Miss Sally Snyder was one of the first black female entrepreneurs in Lake Wales. She was a boss, man. Miss Sally Snyder. All that street right there, if you make a left, Dr. Wilshire office was there. You had Danny Poole Hall. Donald Grant, grandmama, lived down there. All that was a
Mark
black
Elder said
district.
that was the welding shop on Seaboard.
Sir, when you was colored, it was the black people jail. That was the jail for black people. I'm telling you what I know.
Wow.
That was a jail. They didn't even take you downtown. They took you right there and put you in jail.
One thing I noticed about in the city, like in Fort Lauderdale, you go to Fort Lauderdale, even though a lot of the properties, like what we're looking like on the screen right now, they're old properties. But one thing that the city requires them to do is keep their grass and their edges and their pavement and their curbsides manicured, and they make sure that they keep everything maintenance as far as the yard.
Let me tell you why the city don't care about the black community in Lake Wells. Because they want to take the property from you. So they'll let it go down in disrepair so that the value will go down, and then they could go get it for a little or nothing. That's what happened.
Exactly. We're on Lincoln Avenue now. We got Lincoln. That's Lincoln and C Street.
You
Lincoln,
can't even buy.
oh man, here's the old Cherry building. Here's the old Cherry
Stop
building right
here.
Right
there. Stop right there.
Okay, let me try to stop
right there. My daddy owned a restaurant in that building.
I can't get to stop. Hold on. Give me a second.
My daddy built that church.
Wow.
Yeah, you're making me homesick now.
Oh, so this is the place we visited.
Yeah, my hometown. Yeah.
Yeah.
My daddy. I can tell you all about it. I can show you stuff my daddy built.
I don't see the rabbits.
No, man, them rabbits, even the rabbits don't want to fool around with Lake Wells. Even the rabbits say, the hell with it, bro. I ain't doing this.
Coming down C Street now, going into Lincoln. C Street going into Lincoln. And it's a lot of these properties. European people are buying up these properties. I will agree with Professor. Anglo-Saxons are buying up this property. Matter of fact, one owns that property right there. He's been on my radar, but we'll talk about that later on in another episode. There is the business incubator, BizLink right there.
Those people ain't worth a damn.
I hear you.
They should be my barbershop right there. Mr. Bernard, barbershop.
Mr. Austin. Yeah, Mr. Bernard. Yeah, I'm about to say.
And as you go further on this same street right here, we had our own black movie theater. There was a black movie.
Remember right here, this way Miss Lily used to have the produce thing right here too, right on this corner right here, Lincoln and C Street. There has to be a whole produce corner right there. Boiled peanuts, the freshest, some of the biggest produce you can ever come across. Fish, live fish, fresh fish market right there on the corner right there.
As you go down further, you had your own black theater. I can show you exactly where it was. You had your own black movie theater, bro, because you couldn't go to the theater downtown Lake Wells.
Yeah.
You see where that two-story building right there?
Yes, sir.
Right there? It used to be a black theater there, bro. That's where the black theater was.
A movie theater?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
You couldn't go downtown.
Oh my goodness.
Them people didn't want you in their theaters, and they don't want you in there now.
Wow.
It's a black theater.
Look at all these apartments and real estate just dilapidated, just waiting for some type of refacement or remodeling. Now we're coming down Washington Avenue. There go another church.
Patel gonna buy it. Patel gonna buy those apartments and then rent it back to you.
Wow.
So why can't those
East
churches
Street.
pull their money together, Dr. Juice,
East
and buy that
Street.
property?
Wow. Wow. Old powerhouse property. Now that property
I love
right there used to be
powerhouse.
immaculate. That property used to be immaculate.
Powerhouse was a businessman.
Yes, sir.
He was a businessman.
Mr. Evans said gentrification is going on in Lake Wales. Gentrification is at full blast. Mr. Harrington said, damn, the Grand Wizard lived in Lake Wales?
Yes, John Paul Rogers was his name.
Wow.
John Paul Rogers. He was a Grand Wizard.
That joker still living too. You know that, don't he? He runs that
He
barber
said he
shop
was-
right down there by Sunbank at the corner of Sunbank and Central.
But you know what, Dr. Juice? Black
There's
people
Janie
gonna
Howard
get
Wilson.
butthurt.
Tell us something about Janie Howard Wilson right here, Professor.
Janie
Coming
Howard
up on
Wilson
Janie Howard Wilson.
was Miss Janie Howard Wilson was the first black Polk County educator. Her husband was the first black sheriff in Polk County. And she died the year I was born. She died in 1959.
Wow. Wow.
Janie Howard Wilson was a feeder school to Roosevelt.
All that land. Harding Avenue and what's that street name?
I was born on Harding Avenue.
You go empty lot for y'all right there, y'all.
You know what used to be on those
Harding
empty lots, Dr. Juice?
Grassy Lake, boy.
You know what used to be? You know what used
Grassy
to be
Lake.
there,
That's
Dr.
Hawkins.
Juice?
That's Hawkins property there, boy. That's Hawkins.
All that used to be orange groves, Dr. Juice. All that was oranges.
What was this
that
building
was
right here,
orange.
Professor, off Ohio Street? That's right across from where Brother Mark and Mark stayed right there. Mark and Mark, can you give us an update on that building? And that building right there still exists and still available.
It used to be a club, now
a
it's a
church. But the church don't even function out it no more because the building has gotten so old it needs remodeling. Man, that would be a beautiful piece of property. But I think Donald Duck trying to buy it, Florida Natural.
It used to be a club. That used to be a club. And look, on the left of it, that was a club as well on the corner. There was a club there. There's a black club there. Because let me tell you a little about Ohio Street. You know why Ohio Street has so many black businesses, Dr. Juice?
Right.
Before Citrus came in,
Florida Natural, waiting for them to get up.
Florida Natural, it used to be a salt. You know, they call that the rock quarters. So before they had Citrus, Florida Natural was a sawmill. So the rock quarter, that used to be a sawmill. So the rock quarters, the black people that lived there, they worked at the sawmill, bro.
Wow. Wow.
They worked at the sawmill. They weren't
Bro, Mark and Mark, what's up, boy?
Boy, y'all pulled me out. Y'all pulled me out. Oh, y'all. Hey, y'all got to stop fishing so hard. Y'all just plucked me right out the river. I'm telling you.
Well, we know Ohio, I knew when Ohio Street came up, you show up. You gonna show up Ohio Street.
Man. Hey, but brother, let me tell you, Professor Paul's kicking straight science because Citrus World wasn't nothing but a big sawmill. That's why people came from all over.
Right.
And attracted. But let me tell you, we are going through gentrification. And it's the same classic, it's the same pattern they use all over the US. They used it in Egypt. That's how they erase us from history. They did it during Reconstruction. And everything is we are going to be erased. So That's why our neighborhoods get the values go down. They buy them up and then they rebuild them. That's why if you look, when you was going down those different streets, the biggest difference is you see how Professor Voss can say, my daddy built this, my daddy built that, my daddy helped build this. The difference is when we were building this, when this stuff was being built, we were building it. Now they are building it and they are owning it. And so each one, they're going to do it slowly but surely. You're going to see lot after lot being replaced. And they're going to do the sidewalks. They're going to do the schools, and they're going to get rid of you. And they do it in every city. Look at Tampa. Look at Orlando. Look at Harlem, New York. And it goes on and on. We got to open our eyes and start being more conscious of certain things.
Man, D and I, we was in one of the couple of days ago. D and I was in one of the what was considered to be one of the roughest community in Atlanta, and we saw a white woman walking a poodle.
Yep. And is that the area where they charge? They call them artists now to do their to do their street art on the wall.
That's over there. That's over on that's like Cabbage Town, and that's also on the Beltline. They're doing a lot of that on the belt. We have a Beltline.
Yeah, because they done totally gentrified it.
That we used to see that right there. We used to own those. My daddy built those apartments right there on the corner. My daddy built that. My daddy, that street right there, y'all. My daddy used to own that whole street. Boy, it hurts my heart to see Lake Wells like that. It really does. Lake Wells wasn't like that when I was growing up. It reminds me when Trump is a shithole. Look at that. Shithole. That was a black gas station. Shithole.
Hey, we state of war, man. That's war, what you see is. It's war.
No, it's you know what? Let me tell you. We have been trained to love pretty words. So if you say pretty words to us, it sounds so good. Heck, Joe Biden is a perfect example of it. How can so many Negroes go for somebody who done locked so many of us up? Because he'll tell you whatever you need to hear, and he'll say it so nicely.
Well,
while he cutting your throat and taking all your money away.
He was trained by Rainbow Bummer. He was trained by Rainbow Bummer.
Well, he go further. He go way further back than that. He was he was one of those Bull Connor races. He just learned through politics how to talk to people and how to talk to us and get what he want. But man, we got us. I'm telling you, if this happens throughout the entire nation, this is happening. This exact same thing. And it's happening in the same neighborhood throughout the entire nation. And we want to leave our neighborhood, leave a house that we own, and in a place where we're no longer the majority. Instead of just simply, and then we'll move to one of those neighborhoods and we'll tell our neighbor, hey, John, you need some help cutting your grass because it's getting a little tall. But when you were over here in the hood, you wouldn't say, hey, Lil Ray, hey, you need some help cutting your grass because it's getting a little tall. So you'll go keep their neighborhood clean and you'll leave ours looking like garbage. And is that not the biggest ripoff in America, Spook Hill? When I was a kid, I saw through that. Spook Hill.
You ever read Romans 13?
Yeah.
Man,
who is that? There I go. Who is that? Did I ever read what?
Just D.
What was that?
Oh, my phone doing it again.
No.
What was that, D?
No, I was
It's
asking.
me. It's my phone.
Like, have you ever read? Have you ever read Romans chapter 13, 1 through 7? When they're talking about authority.
Get it started. Authority.
I mean, yes. You. If you get a minute, take time and read that. Then you'll see what happened with the mind. You have to read it. I think Goodbar read it. I think Goodbar just read it.
Is it Goodbar you read it?
Where's my pen?
13, 1 through 7.
Well, Dr. Juice to be the first one to tell you. And I read a lot of this mess, but boy, this old memory ain't like it used to be.
But that's why we here. That's
Got
why
it.
we here, man.
Yes, sir.
But I tell you, this, all this is nothing more than the classic of the world, gentrification, getting rid of the Aboriginal person all over. It's like Egyptians.
Yeah, he breaking up
Arabs.
real bad.
Yeah,
His phone's breaking up real bad.
Hey D.
Terrible.
Hey D. Hey D.
Yes.
So this Minister Goodbar, he said it's the woman's job to spread the gospel and the word, not to lead the church. Number one, didn't you say the gospel was a spell? You on a spell?
Well,
and then hold on, and I'll shut up. And then number two, wasn't it the devil who went to the woman first?
Well,
yeah, but the woman should never be over the man.
But what I'm saying is, help me understand, because I don't do Bible like that. But wasn't the devil didn't the devil go to the woman first, or did he go to the man first? The serpent went to the woman.
Exactly.
First. Oh, okay. I just want to make sure I had it right. So based on this Minister Goodbar, then if the devil went to her first, and he's saying that she should spread, as Dr. D, as Brother D said, the ghost spell. He said the ghost spell. That's kind of hard, isn't it?
When they start singing gospel music, they go straight into a spell. Ghost spells.
Yeah, but the woman's job is not to spread the gospel, because the woman should never be over a man, and the woman should never take lead over a man. And that's so all over the Bible, it's not even funny. But that's why churches with strong choirs have huge followings. When you have a great choir, you're so right, Brother D. They have the biggest churches known to man. It's amazing. But when the choir not singing, you just have a very small following. But when that music get going, and I used to know a minister, and they talked about that, how the music and the beat, and you have to have a certain beat, and how these beats, activate the people or the minds. So
Those are
spells.
spells. Those are
Yes, sir.
spells.
Yes, sir.
Those are spells. Put you in a trance.
Mm-hmm.
That's why your city looked the way it is, because they went into a spell instead of creating businesses. Things like, and it's the damnest thing. You got people in your community talking about praying that something happens. Now, see, that's what I call that stage 4 stupid. That's what I call stage 4 stupid.
I call that stage 24 stupid.
Because I mean, for a child, listen to this. We're talking about building skills to solve problems, critical thinking. How the hell can you critically think and you gonna go sit in the corner and pray that something happen? But they should grab them people. They should grab them kind of people and take them somewhere. That's why you're in poverty. That kind of stuff right there is why you're in poverty. That's why Lake Wales look like the way it looks, because people are not being taught to critically think. They're not being inspired to be innovative.
See, we call it a spell of sleep. They put them to sleep.
They should take them people somewhere. Praying to something.
But look, they doing that nationwide. They doing that in Atlanta too. It's happening all over. That very same spell.
Yes.
It's not something that's just in Lake Wales.
No.
Well, here's the thing, but let me explain why Lake Wales is so important. Because it's not balanced. It's so disproportionate in these rural communities. It's so disproportionate. The impact from a statistical perspective is more profound in a place like Lake Wales than it is in Atlanta. We have a balance. We have more balance. We have black businesses. There's a certain segment of our population. When you take a small rural community like that, and we see the same thing in Alabama. We spend a lot of time in Alabama. So when you take the people ability,
look how well manicured it is on this around the lake area,
right?
Around Lake Shore area. Look at that.
But
beautiful.
when you handicap a people and take their ability away to critically think and to problem solve, then you have a highly disproportionate, I might add, in a place like that. Very disproportionate.
Well.
Now,
I'm finna put on my box. I'm finna put on my boxing gloves.
Atlanta, we have the third largest, poorest black community in the country, right here in Atlanta. They don't talk about that because we're the Hollywood of the South. But we have the third largest poorest city in America, right here.
And y'all been gentrified like crazy too.
Oh yeah.
So you have to look at like you say, the percentages look worse in, let's say, Lake Wales, but I would say they're pretty close because I looked them up before. They're pretty close, but it's more obvious in a place like Lake Wales.
No,
but
let me use the
it's
word.
still happening. And when you make and wait. And when you get people, when you train people to hate themselves and hate everything that look like themselves, what do? They leave their neighborhood, they treat their neighborhood like garbage, and then they run off to the other neighborhood. So then you get people who get to making money and get in a better position or get a business, and then they rush off to the other neighborhood and they leave their neighborhood behind. Therefore, their neighborhood look like garbage. and then you think that it's just all the black people live there when they don't.
Here's the 2 words. In Lake Wales, it's disproportionate. In Atlanta, it has a higher magnitude. Those are 2 different concepts. It's disproportionate in Lake Wales, but the magnitude in each area in Atlanta is much greater. So the magnitude, we just look, we just spoke about that today, DNI. In Atlanta, they shut all the projects that we have no housing projects, but guess what they did? They sent all them Negroes out to Clayton County, where Clayton County used to be 98% white when I first moved here, and now it's 98% black. But that's a magnitude of the same thing.
And that's just basic. They're just basically saying the numbers are larger.
Right, the numbers are larger.
Yeah.
But here's my point. Because your numbers are smaller, the disproportionate of that is greater. Because your poverty is higher. Your poverty rate is probably, at this point, we were looking at data where back in 2020, your poverty rate was at 20%. I'm sure it's higher now. I'm sure your poverty rate is at 30%. And your population represents that amount. So when you look at the demographics, your population, when they looked at that data in 2022, your population was 20% and your poverty rate was 20%.
But that don't mean that the 20% of people in poverty are our population. That just means that it's 20%.
Well, I was correlating, and I agree with that, but I will also say it's correlated to what your population represent in relationship to the population. In other words, your population is 20%. So the question that we're trying to find out, that I guess we don't know, I mean, we can infer that the greater percentage of that poverty is you because of how many of you are represented in the population, if that makes any sense. You're 20% of the population, and there's 20% poverty. And you have the highest population under white people. So who is that?
Right, but 20% could be 5% white, 5% black, 5% Mexican, 5% other. That make 20%. That's being inferred because of the way that the historical black neighborhood looks. But majority of the blacks don't even live in the historically black neighborhood anymore.
And that's not right. And the 20% they're talking about are the ones that live in the city limits of Lake Wales. They're not talking about outside. Don't even go there. They're not talking about outside. They're talking about the residents that are in the city limits is who they're talking about.
Right, right. But what I'm saying is they have moved outside of the historical black neighborhood.
I'm not talking about
and
that.
Moved into yeah, that's what you're talking about. C Street, Lincoln Avenue, all that stuff is the historical black neighborhood. But then when they move to Quails Bluff and all these other places, that is not quote unquote the historical black neighborhood.
Yeah, but they're counting the city. I get that, but now you're throwing something in there that shouldn't be in there. We're talking about the city as a whole. We're going by the published demographic, and the published different demographics don't separate Quails Bluff from Lincoln Avenue. They're looking at everybody in the city limits. So don't throw that in there.
Okay. So here's my point, because you're missing this part. So my point was that the inference that the 20% is coming from majority black is because of the fact of how the historical black neighborhood looks at this current time. So what I'm saying is that is the reason for that inference. I'm not saying that is the quote unquote fact, because I haven't seen the data to show what's the percentages of the poor people or whatever it was in Lake
And
Wales.
Mark, let me
Yes,
just
sir.
if I might add, how you gentlemen are sitting here having a back and forth dialogue. Nobody ain't talking about pulling out no guns. We ain't talking about fighting. We disagreeing in a respectable manner, and that just goes to show you again, family, why Urban Matters Black media groups exist. We exist because we can put real men on this platform and talk about real solutions, real problems, real concerns in our community. And nobody calling nobody no FN, no FNN, this, now, you are pulling that PA. We ain't doing none of that. We having intelligent conversation for
Right. And we're
intelligent
searching
thinking
for
men.
answers.
And
And we're searching for
nobody
answers.
said fornicate you, Mark.
Exactly. That's what I
Right.
said.
Right.
We ain't called nobody no
Right.
nickel. I hate to say it, ninja. We ain't called
Yeah.
nobody no PA ninja. You a pussy ass ninja. We ain't
Yeah.
saying none of that.
But let me
Yeah.
I,
Because
I need to hit him with my argument right quick though.
Just because we're
So
not
the, re-
agreeing on the same level at first.
so the research that was done, Brother Mark, by the
okay.
CIA, the Community Redevelopment Association, you have 3 housing projects in Lake Wales that's predominantly black. And the way the researchers that the city of Atlanta paid to do research, they call that poverty, that segment that's in the projects, 3 projects in a population, total population of 16,000, 20%, right? They described those people, and Dr. Juice and I had a long conversation about classification. Let me tell you how those people in Lake Wales, those black people, are classified. You are cost burden, low income residents, which means you don't pay property tax and you insignificant. And I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen. They're gonna give those people in those projects vouchers to leave. Mark my word. Pardon the pun.
Yes, sir. That's part of the gentrification process. That's what
So,
they
They
do.
already started that. Matter of fact, fellas, I got to post some information on the platform, but they started that about 2 months ago, and they are now trying to relocate, give them vouchers, and they don't care because you've been there 4 generations. They don't care. You got to get up out of there because
Right.
they're going to get ready to demolition all of that projects area, Grove Manor area, I think they call it.
Yeah.
right.
Because
So what I'm saying is
honestly,
that has nothing to do. That has nothing. I understand what you're saying about the black people who moved out of so-called historic Lake Wales, and now they can move where white people used to live. That has nothing to do with the fact that the majority of your poverty are in those housing projects. Okay, the majority of the majority of that 20% is black. Period. That's all I'm saying. And then what I'm also saying is that those parasite, ham hock eating, chicken eating preachers that y'all got there are doing nothing about it. All they're doing is they're parasite. They're taking money. They're not developing anything. If they were doing it, you would have to check. Maybe some of the black churches was owning projects. But why couldn't the black
This
church
look like
buy
the Mammoth
some more
Grove area
projects?
here.
Juice, did you get that? Look at that. Look at that thing I sent you. I sent you a picture. I couldn't post it. It was a screenshot. Yeah, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, about the average
Professor.
black church.
I sent Juice this thing about the average black church in America. They're there you go. Put it on the big screen, Juice, so they can see it. $770 something.
Text it to myself.
Oh, okay. Okay. And
email it to myself.
so Man, so in other words, we're not making any contribution to our churches don't make any contribution to our communities nationwide. $773 is the average financial contribution for Black churches to the neighborhood. Now, if that's not a sad state of events, gentlemen, I don't know what is. And
So
all
what?
this false teaching that we being taught, it's like you said, it needs to be revamped.
Bishop Bacon, you got to spend money on his anniversary and all of his clothes and all this kind of stuff.
So where the money's going? Where the money is going?
Bishop Bacon,
right to the preacher pocket. That's where it's going.
Pastor Pork Chop.
Half of them don't even, if they have a parishioner that has problems, they don't even help. Don't help with nothing but a prayer.
Now you see how the college is set up. The CEOs get all the money. The professors, anybody that work out of the college get nothing. CEOs, investors, they the one who getting the money.
Exactly. And so all this motivational speech every week, and you get there. It is there. When you guys talking about the Black church, I started looking up a few different things just to kind of. The average Black church contributes $727 per year to community service.
Wow.
I call it turkey and toys. It's $7 turkey and toys.
Don't forget backpacks.
Yep. Turkey toys and backpacks. From Walmart.
We got to do more. And critical thinking, problem solving. There's none of that. Only thing it is pocket lining off of the community.
Let me explain something to you, Brother Mark. First of all, the Black labor force in America is obsolete. Okay? Right now today, because we're going through this digital transformation, most Black men, think about what I'm saying to you now, y'all correct me if I'm wrong. Most Black men are obsolete and have no economic value in America. Okay. And when they get, so in the case of Lake Wales, that was a citrus-based industry. In other words, we moved there to pick fruit. My people moved out of Alabama. There was no cotton to pick, so we moved to Florida to pick fruit. Now there's no fruit to pick. So what I'm saying to you is that when the average Black man, by the time he's 50, he has no relevant business skills in this global economy. So what does he do? Well, we had the Bible. Remember we talked about the Bible movement, the Jesus movement that was really big in the 70s. So what they did, they built churches instead of businesses because nobody taught them how to build businesses because of the Jesus movement. So what they did, they closed your school down in 1970 during the Jesus movement. As these Black men, they didn't gain any business skill, but I see them on Facebook all the time. They can't write, they can't speak. I see a lot of women too. They can't write, they can't speak. So how can you teach somebody the so-called word of God and you're operating on a third grade, you're functional illiterate? Make sense to me.
I'm God-led. I'm God-led. Ooh.
What? And I just go, ooh.
I'm letting the Holy Spirit speak through me.
All right. Well, that's why your community look like that. Well, I gotta say this. I'm gonna shut up. It's funny you say that, right? So here's my big beef. Here's my big beef with Black preachers, right? Because we want to be, we like those titles. Dr. Juice said we want to be Dr. So-and-so and pastor this and prophetess this and apostle. So I had a conversation with this Dr. So-and-so preacher, right? And if you ask me, you say, well, professor, talk about your research, right? Talk about your 6 years of doctorate work. I can put you to sleep talking about information technology, the AI body work that I'm doing now abroad. I can talk about my research work. So I asked this black preacher that was Dr. Bishop so-and-so, I say, so Rev, because PhD people, they people with their PhDs love nothing more than talk about their research. We can talk about it all day. I can talk about it all day. So I asked him, I said, hey, Rev, what was your research about, Rev? Because research is research, right? You know what this preacher told me? He said he researched the Holy Spirit.
So what's his answers? What's his research?
What did the Holy Spirit say? Oh God!
He said he reached. I was, I'll be honest with you. It was hard for me to ask questions beyond that.
Right.
He stopped me in the middle of my tracks. He said he researched the whole. So I'm thinking, wow, we don't even know how long the Holy Spirit existed. We don't even have, really, to be honest with you. I'm an empirical evidence type of person because I'm academic. Okay, that's how I was raised up. I'm empirical evidence. Your emotions are not facts. Just because you believe in something with all your might, that ain't no fact. And the question is, do you have any empirical evidence to support what you believe in? That's the difference. So I was afraid to ask him for any empirical evidence of the Holy Ghost.
Right.
If you want to consider them women rolling around on the floor and these things, the Holy Ghost, I don't know if that's a good argument, but they point to that as the Holy Ghost. She got the Holy Ghost. I don't know.
Oh, she wants some attention. One of the two. But
But the worst thing, I'm telling you, the black church today, most of them, because there are churches that they trying to do some stuff, and I give them credit. I know who they are. But most, I want to make sure I disclose that, most black churches are parasites. They prey on the 80% of women that go there because black men don't go there. We understand, gang. I'm like, bro, I saw, you know what? I ain't gonna call no names. All right. But I remember somebody that I grew up with, and I was in an event where they prayed. We gonna have Reverend so-and-so give the benediction. And I said, bro, last time I saw you, I bought some weed from you, man. What happened? And he told me, he told me he was, in fact, a drug deal brought him to God. That's how he found Jesus. A dude had a 38 to his head. Now, when it comes to religion, I do, from a model perspective, I will give the AME church credit by saying, hey, with all of their politics, you got to be educated. You can't sit in jail for 6 years and read the Bible back to back if you can for 6 years. You can't be in the middle of the night and hear a voice because you literally have to go to theological school, which most of these other preachers, they can't even pronounce theology. But anyway.
Well, I don't. Theological school. So what they're doing, they're gonna tell you they're telling you what to think. I'm not going to the white man so he can tell me what God was thinking.
I'll give him an A. I'll not an A, but I'll give him a C for going to school compared to the ones that sat in jail and read. I'll give him a C for that.
It all depends. Like you say, it all depends on the person and what they get out of it. But what they're doing with that position, we'll call it. Are you doing something good? Are you moving in the way that you would expect God to guide somebody, or are you just being a leech and a parasite?
Brother Mark, I can tell you what they're not doing. They're not They're not creating jobs. They're not improving your community. That's what they're not doing.
And what's amazing to me is how is it that you can see places creating schools from the church. These places are creating jobs. They're training the kids up to be responsible citizens, and they're actually helping build the church businesses and whatnot. You can see that model, but yet you choose not to utilize that model. You just choose to say a motivational speech and get a check. I don't, well, I get it. That's just greed. And I don't agree with that at all.
They need to be
Because you
abolished.
What is that?
I said they need to be abolished.
Yeah, because even when I was looking for that information there, it's amazing how they word stuff about the black church. But you can see where black churches will get millions of dollars donated to them. Hundreds of millions of dollars donated to them, but you can only give
Donated to them
700.
to stay passive as hell and
Right.
be damn to
So why?
just
So why?
teach all
So let
type
me
of
just.
rhetoric and all type of doctrination that makes black men uh what's the word I'm looking for, emasculating black men
Yeah.
and making
Why?
them
Why?
be
Why?
docile.
Why are you beating up? You see, I'm kind of talk for Reverend Pochop. Why are you beating up the black church? I can tell you why I'm beating them up. I'm beating them up because when you trade ownership for integration, the black church is the only organization you got left in the community. He just went down Lincoln Avenue. There's nowhere on Lincoln Avenue that used to be a thriving black business community. Today, you can't even buy a bottle of water for $1 anywhere on Lincoln Avenue. How about that? And when I was growing up, you could buy oxtails, rice, greens. You could buy fish. You could buy them boiled peanuts. You can buy vegetables. You get your hair, bro. You can't even buy one bottle of water on Lincoln Avenue. Why is that? Why?
Where's Walmart?
The illusion of inclusion.
Where's Walmart?
The
There you go, Mark.
illusion.
Hey, bro, D, I say that all the time. If Walmart shut
Yeah.
down right now, just shut down all
Thank
these
you.
stores.
That's
well,
right.
a lot of jokers are gonna go hungry at that point, because not only do we not have resources, not only do we not have our own agricultural know-how and that agricultural education and agricultural resources, we don't even know how. If we did have access to them, we still don't know how to participate. I take some jokers right now out to the lake, man. They be looking at me like crazy, like man, I ain't finna step in that mud, man. Man, I ain't finna put my feet in that mud, man. I got on some fresh J's, man. I just bought these J's. I tell you what,
That's
go
what.
see if you can take them shits home and whip up some mashed potatoes with them shits and eat them.
Those are
That's
corporate
what your
citizens.
ass gonna have to do.
Those are corporate citizens. Those are corporate citizens.
I got a question for you, Dr. Juice. If your daddy said, "Come here, boy, we got to walk in that mud," and if you would have reacted like that, what would have happened?
I would have got buried.
You've been picking them up out the mud. Yep.
I'd have been down there eating mud pie.
Right.
Same way going fishing, baiting that hook.
And here's the thing. We've been trained. Here's the difference. This was our land. Somebody came, they learned all the stuff that we do, and then they started doing it. And then they created unions and whatnot to legally keep us from doing it to the level that they're doing it and get them in the game. And we took those skills, we created our own, and then they figured out a way to bash us with our own. And that was the illusion of inclusion. sent people out like Martin Luther King, put movies out like Roots, and made you think stuff that's not true. Then you want to be included and be with these other people who don't have your best interests at heart. You give up absolutely everything that you built so you can be included and be a part of this big grand experiment. And now here's the difference. Where we had the skills to pay the bills and feed ourselves before our parents, grandparents, our kids don't know how to do any of it. And because our kids don't know how to do any of it, when they shut the faucet off, they are going to be needy and on the streets. I don't care how much quote unquote generational wealth you thought you created. They got to know how to feed themselves. And our kids not even taking FFA.
Nope.
But we'll take football. We'll take the football class, but won't take the FFA class.
Yeah, and when you go to these, here's the other thing. Did you know that there's a 75% gap in STEM in HBCUs? 75%. Now, I always ask myself, I wonder where we would be if we put the same energy that black people at these colleges put into this frat and sorority stuff, all this ski-wee and barking, you know, and I give them credit. It takes a lot of practice and effort to do those steps that's in sync, to be marching and all in sync. And I'm saying to myself, I wonder if we approach science that way, if we approach AI that way, robotics, you know, the global economy, where would we be economically if we put the same effort into all this step stuff? And listen, nobody like booty shaking more than me. I love it. I love women, all of that stuff. But at what point will we balance that? At what point will we balance that? At what point will we take that same energy and put it into education and our families and being financially independent? When will we do that? I don't get it. Make it make sense.
Hey, G, Professor.
Yes, sir.
If we take the signs down, whites only, black only. We took the signs are down, but it's still in their head. Still here. Whites only. The neighborhood we went to, half of us white only. Today. Those images still in their head. Oh, you black, you can't have this. Those images still in their head. It's in their genes, like.
I don't know if I want to argue. I don't know about that, Brother D, because when I look at the way black people spend money, you know, when I look at us as consumers, everything that they told you that you couldn't have, you got to have it now.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that
I'm talking about large stuff. I ain't talking about that junk they buying out there. They buying junk.
But they moving into the old white neighborhood.
Old white neighborhood.
We moving out. Well, let me be clear. Okay. We're moving into the white neighborhoods. Right. The ones with more money, not moving into the old one. They moving into the new one when they build it. The ones with a little less money moving into the old white neighborhoods. And when we leave our neighborhood, the Hispanics moving into our neighborhoods. And so that's the progression.
So what neighborhood? What type of neighborhood that a college graduate can live in? What the price range? I say price range. So with the neighborhood we've been looking at, I don't see it in the price range of a college graduate, unless he got old money.
Hey D, I'm gonna say this here. Let me chime in on that question there. Let me chime in on that question right there, bro, Mark. I had a client, as all know, I used to do a lot of transportation, and I did high end transportation, like professional chauffeur service, black car service, what have you, right? And one of my clients was from Atlanta. He was a construction developer, and he would literally give me money, cash in hand, if I'm riding out on my assignments, and I would run past these what they call PVC farms, was where they started building a subdivision, but some type of way they got into some type of economic, some type of economic downturn, right? They got in some type of economic downturn, and he would tell me, "Hey, you can see the little PVC standing out of the ground where they did all the zoning and everything, but they never built any houses, or they may have like 2 or 3 structures out there, but they didn't build it, and now grass is growing up." He said, "Make sure you call them, give me the address, call me." He said, "Y'all pay you $5,000 for every one of them you can find for me." And so what happened was, I looked him up on his deal, and so I had to question him, because I'm just one of them guys. I gotta know, man. I'm very intelligent thinker, so I need to know. And so I say, "Well, why the houses are not selling now?" He said, "Man, because more millennials and more, like Brother D was saying, more college students." He say they're not geared for like single family structure lifestyle. He said they just want to get a pet. He said half of them don't even want to have kids. They just want to be a couple. And he said they want to have a pet as their kid because they don't want accountability, they don't responsibility. He said, so now I'm in the business of building these new townhome areas. Like I build the townhouses now. He says it's more lucrative to build two-story townhouses in condo type, they call them condo structures, because family does not no longer exist in our modernized economy, in our modernized citizens. They don't want a family anymore. Especially in Atlanta, he said half of them motherfucking can't have no kids because you already know what's going on. They same sex relationships. So he said it's more lucrative for me to get into condos and townhouses and condominium business. So that's what he's building now. You notice you'll see a lot of those things being built. They don't even put brick in them anymore. They build them all out of matchsticks. They just use particle board for both stories now. They don't even use brick anymore. The only thing is brick is the foundation. But they're still charging the same astronomical prices, 300, 400,000 for these structures, and they're no bigger than 1,500 square feet, top and bottom.
Right. Because you what's the average student loan now? 80, 100,000?
Shit, probably more.
Probably
than that,
100 to 200.
Yeah, 120 at least.
So how are you going to afford a $1 million house? How are you going to get $1 million house? I don't care. You might come out making 150,000, maybe. You got all these student loans.
Well, I can stop you now. Ain't nobody around here looking for $1 million house. First of all, and so we can stop that right there.
Your answer right now.
So yeah. See, we ain't even looking for that.
You've been looking at too many houses in Atlanta.
Right. See, around here, you're gonna be around. I mean, you kicking it for like 350.
And you doing hella you doing hella good. You 350.
Hella good at 350.
But here's the problem. You're going now. Watch this, man. As a black person, you're going to spend $100,000 on a worthless degree, and you're barely gonna make $50,000.
That's right.
If you get a job.
Math ain't mathing. The math ain't mathing.
You're in $100,000 debt for a $45,000 job. Make that make sense.
Right. And most people that go to Ridge Votech, a trade school, making more money than you.
Right.
And they was in that trade school for maybe 3 months, pushing it. So, but they sold they sold the dream of school and all that, and this is the way to do it. So that's what we doing. We still doing it. We still pushing them, pushing every doggone kid to college.
You know, in the 70s, RN, they had to do 2 years of school to be RN.
Yep.
2 years. 2 years.
But now they stamping them out. You know why? Yeah, and you know why we're starting to dominate that field. And you notice what's happening to the salaries in that field.
It's dropping.
The new slave is in.
It's dropping.
Yes, that's because we are the cheaper alternative. And then when the Mexican young ladies want to take another step up, and then they start going into RN, guess what? They're gonna be the cheaper alternative.
Right.
And we're gonna be kicked out.
No, in Atlanta, the cheaper alternatives right now are Africans, Jamaicans, and Haitians. I very rarely, I don't know the last time I seen a Black American woman in a hospital. It's been years.
Right. And so and I say Mexican, but I mean foreigner, you know, somebody not from these shores who they can get that inexpensive labor, because America's always looking for the new slave. Always.
Oh yeah.
Or should I say the cheaper slave? Because everybody that clock in is a slave. You on GE plantation, you on Microsoft plantation, you on whoever plantation. Only difference is you leave that plantation, they let you drive home, they give you enough of a salary so you can keep your head above water and get back to work.
So that's why they added Romans chapter 13 in. They added it. If they added it in. I know if you take your time, I'll tell you, you read it, you will see what I'm talking about. They added in. It's added.
What did they add in? He keep talking about adding in. What did they add in? Tell everybody, bro.
What I'm saying
He
is
like
the authority.
Put it up, Jude.
Romans what?
13,
Chapter
1 through
13, 1 through 13.
We got to have Bible study.
Amen, brother.
Well, it's not a Bible study. You got to understand the way the people think. They all of them went to church. They raised up in churches.
Yeah.
You got to get where their mind at.
I ain't hating on it. I ain't hating on it at all, bro. You know, I'm definitely not stepping on it.
I mean,
this what you.
We gotta make contact with them. We gotta make contact with them.
This what they've been taught.
Read that for me. Help me understand. Not all verses though. I mean, what's the just blow that up, brother?
13, 1 through 13. Here we go.
So what's the main point about this?
It's talking.
Yeah.
It's the authority. So these people take that God gave them authority.
So tell me, I can't see. Okay, let me blow this. Tell me.
It says, "Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power resisteth the ordinance of the God, and that they resist shall receive to themselves damnation. For rulers are not of terror to good works, but to the evil." He's saying the rulers, D, you was talking about the rulers earlier, right? You were saying that, D. With thou then not be afraid of the power, do that which is good. They say do good, and you should have the praise of the same. He say, for he is the minister of God to thee for the good. But if thou do thou which is evil, if you're gonna walk with the evil people, he say, then you should be afraid. For he heareth not the sword in vain. For he is the minister of God, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. Wherefore you must needs be subject, not only for the wrath, but also for your conscience sake.
So that's the people who have the judges have authority. The one who got authority. That's what that is right there. Lock them up.
But who has the highest authority?
The judge. You've been judged.
So you owe no man anything but to love one another, for he that loveth another hath fulfilled the law. So we fulfilling the law right here, every matters, because that's all we push is loving our brother, man. I love Bro Mark. I love Professor. I love Bro D.
So,
you know what I'm saying? So we practicing that over here.
See what's going on?
Celebrating one another.
Who's have the authority? These people think that they are represent the Father in heaven. Gave them the authority to do what right or wrong to you. If you hanging up with wrongdoer, then you subject under their authority, which has come from God authority. That's what they saying. They represent the Heavenly Father on earth.
Wow.
And that's in people's head right there. And that's how they rule. That's a lie. They added that.
Well,
they added that.
Well, here's the key in my head, okay? Here's the key. If you go to a place where they preach that, and, you know, as we all know, all these churches preach the same thing over and over and over and over again. And so they're preaching something like what you say, Brother D, and instead of the truth, which is God's in all of us. God's in all of us. We are the physical embodiment of him walking on the face of the earth. We was his hands, his feet, his eyes on earth. So, but people can twist your mind with words, and that's what's happening in our churches on the regular. Because there's not a human walking on the face of this planet that could tell me that, and I go, okay. But if you hear the same thing all the time, I get it. Because that's what happened with Santa Claus. That's what happened with all this other stuff so many people believe in. Thanksgiving and all this other mess. Christmas. I'm sorry, y'all. Christmas ain't real. Show me anywhere in that book where it say
we're going to have to do a
born.
show on that one, y'all. We're going to have to do a show on that one. The next show, talk about the paganism behind Christmas.
Well, brother, you know, anytime you get in trouble, first thing they do, they got to demonize you, make you seem so bad, and that's how they get it. That's how they get to the authority or try to take over you. They make you, Brother Mark, he was doing this. Well, I ain't do that. They put the rumors out like you did this. Then people start believing it because they taught on, do you believe?
Right.
So all that is witchcraft and spells. That's why the thing we have to bring it out. We have to break those. We have to get back into our own self. How are we gonna make money? Get rid of all this online stuff they put in this book. We need to get back. How are we gonna make money? How are we gonna take care of our family? How this government oppressing us? What can we do to protect our family, our children, our wives? Because that's what's on our mindset at first.
Monitor. Yeah, Professor Monitor. Somebody got a loud monitor. I'm telling you.
Let me try to cut mine down. I'm gonna put mine on mute.
Right now. Guy went away, y'all.
It's that professor. We always do that.
Guy went away. See how the echo and went away.
Yeah.
Went away.
Yep.
Let's hear that loud ass monitor. Hey, but we learning, fellas. We learning. And that go all y'all boys. Y'all boys standing in the paint representing since the day and the birth of this platform. So I greatly appreciate it, man. Listen, let's get together. Let's have a Christmas broadcast. When y'all want to do it?
I can't wait. Just say
Everybody
when.
give their view, their own input, and their own data about Christmas. What does Christmas mean to you? And how can we economically empower ourselves during this month of
We can
draining
have a
of the
true Black Friday. A true Black Friday.
a true Black Friday? I like that, bro, Mark.
Where black dollars go to black folk.
Hey, let's organize that. We're gonna organize that right here at this dang on platform. I promise you, I'm gonna be passionate about it. Let's do it. Y'all know that's what we hollering about over here is group
Let's push it.
economics, Black American, indigenous folks over here, man. We putting us first. And that's just what we're doing over here. And I know a lot of people butthurt. We got a lot of, I'm gonna tell you, a professor, out of them ghost watchers, I'm gonna tell you, a lot of them don't look like us. A lot of them look like them other people too that's ghost watching. So we got ghost watchers. They don't discriminate over here at Urban Matters. Everybody want to know what Urban Matters talk about, what Urban Matters is discussing. And they want to know what the real alpha men of this network are talking about and their concerns. And I think we made a hell of a stride this past election. We taught them that, hey, Black American men can be intelligent thinkers and we can think for ourselves. And we can address the concerns that we narrate in our community. In other words, we can control our own narratives. Am I right, fellas?
Yes, sir.
Would y'all agree with that?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. So listen, till next time, man, we signing off. Urban Matters is out.